Hello everyone and welcome back to my .NET Full Stack series. So in this today's video we are going to cover a crucial aspect of building secure web application, and that is nothing but your JWT authentication. So in the last video we dive into the validation using Fluent Validation, and today we are taking things a step forward by implementing JSON Web Token. So if you don't know, JWT is a standard for securely transmitting information between parties as a JSON object, and that's what we are going to do in this today's video. That I will walk you through how to implement JWT-based authentication in your .NET application. So by the end of this tutorial you will have a solid understanding of how JWT works and how to integrate it with your project to keep your application secure. So if you're ready to step up your security game, then grab your favorite beverage and let's get started. So let's first understand that what is this JWT. So to know more about it, you can go to this website JWT.io and you can find some basic information about what is this JSON Web Token. Like, this is an open standard and all that information you can get it from here. If you just scroll down, right, so here you can see that there is a JWT token, and this is how a JWT token looks like. Okay, and if you see, right, a JWT token is divided into three parts. Okay, and what are those? So let's try to understand them. So if you take a look here, right, closely, so you have this in three different colors, right? So first one, we have this in the red color, which is till here, and then the second one is in purple, and the third one is in basically the blue color. And the JWT token is a combination of three things, which is your header, your payload, and your signature. Okay, so the header is basically consist of two parts, as you can see here in the object. First one is the algorithm, okay, so which is nothing but your JWT, right? So as you can see, the header has two things. The first one is the algorithm, like what kind of algorithm we are making use to create this JWT, and the second one is nothing but the type itself, which is a JWT, right? The second one is nothing but your payload, where you can have your subject. You can also have some different kind of claims. These are nothing but your public claims, which has the name. Okay, you can have a name of the user. You can also have the expiry time and whatnot. And the third and the most important one is nothing but your signature. And why is it important, right? Because this is nothing but the signature will be based on what kind of algorithm you are using. Okay, if you're using HMAC SHA-256, so what it does, right, it consists of a base 64 URL encoded header. Okay, so this is what it is. Then the second one is nothing but again the base 64 URL for your payload, and the third one is nothing but your secret, which is a 256-bit secret. Okay, where you add a secret key to create such kind of a token. Okay, so this is what a JWT token looks like. Let's try to understand the flow of how this will actually work. So what happens, right? So a client, we have a client and we have a server. Client is your Angular app and server is your .NET application. So what a client does, right? It client tries to send, like wants to do the authentication, and it is done via some information like email, username, and password, right? So that's what a client will send to the server. And what server will do, right? It will validate the username and password. It will check if this user actually exists in their application. If it exists, then what it does, it will generate a JWT by using some secret key. Okay, also this JWT can make use of payload like username or email. He can just store it so that they have some payload information, so that also he can use and create a JWT token, as I had told you, right? The second thing, which is this payload information like subject, name, and the expiry time and whatnot. Okay, and what it will do, right, it will return the generated JWT token to the client. Okay, now for example, now the login is success. Now client want to get some data. Okay, so he will say that, hey, I want to get all the users. So what it will do, right, he just cannot directly send the request. So if he tries to send the request, what it will do, the server will say that, hey, you're not authenticated because you don't have my token what I have provided you. So what client has to do, client has to attach this JWT token in the header, okay, with its all request. And what it will do, right, this header will get read by the server. Okay, so the server will validate, okay, oh yes, this is the correct data, so this is what I was expected. Okay, he will check, okay, this is the valid user, this is for this user I have generated this token. Now the validation is success, and now the server will return the response back to the client. And that's how the mechanism of JWT actually works. The good thing is that our step one is already ready, that we have a post API where we are actually using email and password to do the login. Okay, if you remember, right, when I click on execute, I am currently sending some a false token abc@gmail.com. Let me just try to do that. and if I click on execute, so can you see I'm trying to get a token which is a fake one. So now what I want to do, I want to generate this token with this mechanism so that we have this such kind of a token which we are returning back to the user. So now let's see where we can create the JWT token and what are the steps involved to create that. Okay, so first of all, let's try to understand which part we need that JWT token. So if you remember right, this diagram, that once the login is being performed and if the user is there, at that time we will create this JWT token. So which means that if you remember, we have done the login inside this authentication service, and over here in the login, right, we have this where token, and as I have also mentioned in the comment that we will replace this later with the JWT. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try to create some interface and services for it. Right, so the interface, let's go here in this folder, right click and create a new interface, and the interface name will be JWT service. Okay, inside that I will have a task of which will return a string. Okay, and the method name will be generate JWT. Okay, JWT token async, and we will just make use of email. So let's take a string email. Okay, and based on this email we will create a JWT token. Okay, let me also improve this namespace as per the warning. Yeah, that's okay, that's done. And now as we have interface, let's go ahead and create the service for it. So in the services, right click, add a class name will be JWT. Okay, JWT service, hit enter, and this class is going to inherit from JWT what we just have created. So as this is interface, so we will have to implement the interface, all the missing members, right? So this is how it is, right? And now, okay, let me also improve this namespace. Okay, maybe I can fix that globally later, right? So as you know, this is what we have for now, and now we are going to use this JWT service inside the authentication service. Okay, so that we can call that generate token. Okay, so to use it here, what I will do, I will just inject JWT service, and let's use the name JWT service. And now over here we don't need this like the constant string. We will say JWT service dot. Can you see now we are able to access this method generate token, and based on the email we are going to generate the token. Okay, and this email is nothing but on the top what I have. Okay, and now as this is a async method, so we can make use of await. Okay, and that's what we are going to perform now. Now before actually trying to add the logic inside this generate token, what I'll do, right, let me tell you that there are some app setting which has to be added. So what I've already added inside this app setting.json. So if you guys have to go here and add few information here in terms of this JWT, because we need something called as key, we need some issuer and audience, and that information has to be present inside this app setting.json file. Okay, and we are going to use them when we create the token. Okay, so after adding this information, let's go back to your JWT service, and now inside this JWT service, as I have to use the configuration because it's stored in this app setting, so I will have to call configuration. Okay, and give the name configuration, as you cannot use it directly because it will ask you to install a package. So click on this control dot. Okay, it will ask you to install package this Microsoft extension configuration.abstraction. So click on this, and this will install a package here. Okay, so to confirm that package is installed successfully, you just also have to import so can you see now this is coming from this extension.configuration, and just to confirm that it is installed successfully, you can see that I have a new package here. Okay, and based on this package, now you are able to use this. Okay, you have this using on the top, right? And now you can make use of this configuration everywhere, so that you can get your issuer, the key, secret key, and the audience. Okay, so now what the first thing we have to do, right? We have to first create a secret key. So for that, this is how the code will look like. So now we will have a secret key which is coming from configuration JWT:key, right? And then after taking the secret key, we are going to encode it, right? So we are going to create a symmetric security key, and then after that we will create a sign-in credential. If you remember, right, when I was teaching you guys this JWT, so we are going to create a signature, and the signature is not that easy, right, just to create. So there are a lot of involvement of separate class which is helping me to do it. Okay, and this class is throwing me error because we have to install few packages inside the application project. Okay, if I click on this and press control dot, okay, so let me see what package it is asking me to install. So it's asking me to install this package, Microsoft Identity Model.tokens. So let me install this package. Okay, I think the installation is done and you can verify it here. Can you see it got added here? Now let's go back and try to import. So if I click back again, so I can see I am able to upload it, like import it successfully on the top, right? And based on this, I am able to create the credentials. Okay, also for example, if you want to pass some roles, okay, if I want to pass some roles inside my token, so that also I can do, but I want to fetch the role first. Okay, to fetch the role, I think I have created a user repository. So let me just confirm. Let's go back to your user repository, and repository is inside your interface, persistence, repository, and this is where user repository is. And as you remember, right, we have created a repository method which has get user role by email. Okay, so we are going to use this to fetch the user role, and that role we will pass as a payload. Okay, so let's go back again to the JWT service. To use the user repository, you will have to inject it. Okay, so injection will be done something like this: I user repository. This is user repository, and now you can access this user repository here. So you can say user repository dot get roles by email async. Okay, and you can pass the email here. So based on this email, this guy will give me the list of roles. So as this is async, so we must use await. Okay, so now I will get a list of string which is nothing but my roles. Now once I get my roles, right, I have to create my claims. Okay, so to create the claims, this is what I'm going to do below. So what I did, right, I'm trying to use this claim. So let me import this claims. Okay, import the missing reference, yes. And then what I'll do, right, so inside this claims, I'm trying to create claim types that email. So I have an email claim, and then I have one more custom claim which is my user ID. Again, I'm not able to use it because I have to go ahead and call the user. Okay, to call the user, again we have something called as this. So where user is equals to what you can do, you can say user repository dot get user by email async, and you can pass the email here, right? And then you can make use of await here as this is async. And now you can access this user. Just to be sure that you are not getting this error, what you can do, you can just say if user is null, then you can return something wrong, or some, like, you can throw some exception over here. So you can say throw new exception that user not found, something like that. You can just do that, okay, for now, but we will try to improve it later, right? And now we can just say that, okay, again this will not come because we have already validated that the user is there. So it all depends on you if you want to put it here, or else what you can do, you can just directly go here and put it like this. Okay, so now you will have a user ID which is nothing but this. So you are creating your own claim type, right? So there are different claim types, as you can see, right? So we have this system, we have this surname, we have like groups. Okay, there are a lot of claims what you can create actually, but we are going to create it for email. Okay, and then we have created our own custom which is user ID. And also what I'm trying to do, right, inside this claims, I'm also trying to add for all the roles. Okay, so there will be different claims for role. For example, I have list, right? So I'm trying to convert my list into a single role claims. Okay, for example, I have admin and user role, so it will add 2 claims here per role. Okay, so as that has been done, so what you can do, you can proceed it with the next step. Like if the claim is also ready, now you have to create the token descriptor. Okay, which means to create the token descriptor, you have to have this class which is called a security token descriptor. Okay, so we are going to use this file, and here we can create the subject, and the subject will be created based on the claims what we have added. Okay, and then you can put the expiry, then you can add the sign-in credential what we have created on the top, you can add the issuer, you can add the audience. Okay, after adding all this information, can you see now we have a token descriptor, we have all the other information. Now the only job is to create the token. Okay, and to create the token, we are going to use JSON security token handler. Okay, and that is nothing but like this. So we will have a token handler, and we are using JWT security token handler. Again, this class is not accessible because we have to install a package called as identity model.token.jwt. Let's install this package. Okay, installation is success. You can verify them in the CS proj. Okay, can you see now we have this tokens.jwt, and now we can import this. To import this, again you can click on this and import missing reference in the file. And once you add it, right, now this will help you to create the token by passing this token descriptor. And once the token is created, you just have to return your token back. Okay, and this token is nothing but of type string, as you can see. Okay, no, this is not of type string, so we have to say this is a security token, and to create your token, right, you have to say dot write token. Okay, which means to create this, what you have to do, right? So this token handler will help you to create the token. So what we will do, we'll say token handler dot, you have to write token, and you have to pass. Can you see if I hover on this, right, this guy requires a security token, and if I hover on this is nothing but my security token. So let me correct the name, this is security token. Okay, and this security token we can pass it to here, and this will nothing but return a type string. Can you see write token returns a string, and this string is nothing but our token what we are looking for, and the token will look like something like this. Okay, so this is what our JWT service is actually doing, which helps to create a token. Okay, you must be thinking why I created this service. The service is created because I will be using this service for creating refresh token and all that, so that's why we have added this file. Okay, so as we have created this, right, so we have to also do the dependency injection of iJWT and JWT service. So to do that, right, what I can do, I have this service collection extension. Let's go here, and then we can say services dot add scoped. What we will have, I will have iJWT service, and we will resolve it with JWT service. Okay, this is JWT, not iJWT, and that's it. And let me also write it down, JWT service. Okay, this is coming from application.service, right? Let me also improve this namespace. I don't know why is it like that. Let me improve that. Yeah, let's save the changes, and now, okay, so this is also done. Now let's see if everything is in place or not. Yes, I think so, everything is in place. Okay, let me run the app, let me debug the application this time just to see what happens. I don't know, let's see what happens. Right, I think this is running fine. Let's go back. Okay, this is running my Swagger. Now I'll go here, this time I click on execute, but before that let me put a breakpoint. I don't know where is my service. Yeah, it's over here, authentication service, and let me put a breakpoint here. Okay, click on execute. I'm expecting it should come here. So I have a login request where I have an email and I have a password like this. Let's go back and test. Okay, the validation is valid, right? So you can go to the next line. It will take this email and password, as this is a tuple. It will try to fetch and check if the user is exist or not. Okay, the user exists. It will verify the password if the password is also correct, and now this time it will going to generate a JWT token, okay, based for this particular email. So let's go in the JWT service and let's see what happens. So first of all, it will go and fetch the user. So now I see I have a user. Okay, see the user, password, and everything I can see here. And then let's go back and let's create a security key. So now we have a security key created. And now we will fetch the roles. Let's see what roles I have. So I see there is no role has been attached to my profile, so that's fine for now. And then we are going to create a claims. So we have two claims created, one for email ID and one for the user ID, right? And let's go back and let's see if it has added any roles. Still we have 0 roles, so that's why there is no claims added. Let's go proceed further. Now based on this token descriptor, we are going to create this particular token. So let's go ahead and let's see what we have this, and now the security token is going to be null. I don't know why this is null, because this is incorrect. If this is null, then it will be creating a problem for us. Okay, but let's see what happens if I go and return back. Okay, something went wrong, as you can see, because that was null, right? So it says that the HMAC key must be greater than 256 bit. Okay, but we have 250. So the problem was, right, the security key. So we have to increase our security key in the configuration. So let's go back in the app setting.json and we will increase this key to some more. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me get it from one of my website where I have 256 bit. So I can put it over here. Okay, so make sure that size actually matches to this 256 bits, and the keyword we have added was only 240 bits. Okay, so that was the only issue. Again, let me restart the project and let's see if that worked this time. Let me put a debug point over this point here. Yeah, let's see. And again, let me click on execute. Okay, let it run. Everything is still running. Yes. Okay, let me go ahead and click on this play button. It will come here directly, and let's see if we have key this time. Let's go up and let's see what was the key. Yeah, security key is this, was expected, right? And then let's go ahead again. Let's go here and let's see this time the security token. So now this time it is not null, and I have few information by which I can create a token. And if I proceed further, it has created the token, and that token you can see it here. If I hover on this, can you see? I'm able to see the token we have just now created, and this token has all this information. Okay, and based on this information, what we are going to return back to the user that, hey, your user is logged in successfully and please take your token, and this is your username. And this token now user can store it in their local storage or any other secret place where they want to store. The only thing is, whenever they want to get some information, they should be sending this token back. Okay, so in this way we are able to create the JWT token. But is it enough? No, right? We also have to make sure that my requests are getting validated. Okay, so the token creation is done, that's fine. But now, for example, if someone is trying to access this get users, right, like all users, so he should not be able to access if you don't have any token, correct? So for that, right, you still have to do some mechanism inside your program.cs file. So let's go inside your program.cs file, which is inside the API. Okay, and over here we have to do some magic. Okay, so that magic will be start from here. So what you will do, right, you will just say that, okay, builder.services. So as you are adding authentication, so let's say dot add authentication. Okay, and which authentication you add? So we'll say JWT bearer. Okay, again, to use this JWT bearer default, you have to install package. Okay, so let me hover on this and it will ask me to install the package. So let me just go here in the NuGet. Okay, and we have to install a JWT package. The name should be JWT bearer if I'm not wrong. Okay, yep, this is what coming from Microsoft ASP.NET Core and all that. So I have to install it in the API project. So click on install. Okay, I think it's failing because, okay, I'm using the version 9. So make sure that you are using it for version, whatever version your project is on. So let me do it for version 8. Again, go and install it there. I need it only inside API, not any other project. So let me just go and install it now. Yeah, the installation was success. And now I think I will be able to import this. So click on this and I can say import missing reference in the file. Okay, so this is what my authentication schema will be. And here I can just say that add JWT bearer. Okay, and in that we get options, and based on this option we are going to configure it. Okay, so let's go ahead and configure our JWT bearer. So what this option has, this option will have, okay, let me go back, this is not correct. Okay, that's why I don't like AI always. So we have option.yes, this is what I was looking for. So we have this option.token validation parameters, and what we can do, right, we can try to tell that, okay, please validate my issuer, validate the audience, validate lifetime, validate the sign-in key and everything. Okay, so that we can increase the security. And now here we have to again import this. So let me go ahead and import the missing references. And after you import, why is it important? Because we want to get the issuer key, and the issuer key is nothing but is a part of your key, right, what you have in the configuration. Okay, to get this symmetric key you have to pass the key what you have stored. Again, that key is very important. If you share that key with anyone, then anyone can decrypt your JWT and they can hijack your session. Okay, so that has to be very much it should be in a very secure place, to be honest. And now I will be adding one very important, which is clock skew, which is timespan.0, because even if you add how do I say, if you say your expiry time is 1 minute just for the testing, it will not work, because this, if you don't add this, okay, if I remove this, even if I do expiry time 1 minute, my token will be valid for by default 5 minutes. But I don't want to do that, so I can add this clock skew as time span as 0. And once I add this, right, now you will be able to validate all your JWT requests. Okay, now what I will do, right, I'll just go here and try to use an attribute. So my JWT token is done end to end. Now it's time for the testing. So I go in the API, go inside the controller and the user controller, and here on the top I will just put authorize attribute, ATH. Oh, I don't know what was that. Authorize. Okay, authorize attribute. Again, this is again coming from the import C on the top, ASP.NET.authorization. Okay, let's save the changes and try to run the application now. Let's not debug, let's try to run directly, because I'm expecting some errors, yes, for sure. Now if I click on this, if I click on try it out, if I click on execute, can you see I'm getting 401. Why? Because I'm not logged in. Okay, so as I'm using Swagger, so I cannot attach any JWT here. So what I will do, right, I'll just go and open up Postman. If you don't know, like if you don't have Postman, then what you can do, right, you can actually install Postman inside the Visual Studio as well, Visual Studio Code. Okay, so I have a Postman here already, just to tell you guys, if you are confused, I don't want to do that. So let me just open up Postman for you and try to do the same authentication. And don't worry guys, in future what we will do, right, we'll try to configure the Swagger in such a way that we can add our token and test our APIs. Okay, so I will be doing that as well. I think this thing will take time, so let me better do it directly in the Visual Studio. Okay, so I will open up the Postman. I will create a new request. Okay, let's go back and take this particular request, right, and I will put it in the Visual Studio like this, right? And if I try to click on send again, can you see I get 401? Now I want to add a header, right? So in the header, what I'll do, right, I will add a key. Okay, there should be some authorization. Yes, make use of bearer token. And what you will do, you'll just pass your token here. To pass the token, again, I need to get a token, right? So let me click on this, try it out, abc@gmail.com. As this data is already stored in my database, that's why I can use it, and click on execute. Okay, as you can see, I have a token. Let me copy this token and let's go back to the Postman and add the token here. And if I click on send now, my expectation is that I should get the list of users. Can you see I'm getting user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you see the API, can you see what this API does? This API just returns me the array of users. That's it. And now can you see I'm able to send the data based on the correct authentication. If I remove this token, right, if I try to send back again, can you see I'm getting 401. Once I attach the token to the header, if I click on send, can you see I'm able to get the user, which means that we have successfully configured a JWT token in our .NET project. Okay, and this was very, very important for you guys to understand how you can create a JWT token and use them in your project. Okay, again, just to start things off from like what we did, we just created a extension, sorry, not the extension, an interface, JWT service like this. Then we have an implementation of that somewhere over here. Right here we have created the JWT token and we have written back. And then what we have did here that whenever we are doing the login in the login service, right, in the auth service, so once the login is success, which is on the top, if the login is success, then we create a token and we return the token back to the user. Okay, and not just that, we also saw how we can make use of authorize attribute in the controller to validate that, hey, please send this response only to the authorized user. Okay, and to do this part, what we added something in the program.cs, which is this, where we are trying to say add the authentication as a JWT bearer authentication scheme and add this the token validation parameters, and based on this parameter it will help me to validate my token. Okay, so this is what it was done in this today's video. Also, people can tell me that okay, there are some improvement which can be done, which is for sure yes, which is correct. Like we don't need to actually fetch the user again. If you remember, right, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to fetch the user back here, right? So what I can do, right, I can try to improve it a bit by doing what I'll tell you. So I'll just go here and directly take the user. Okay, and I can pass the user here. Okay, so that I don't need to do the API call again. Okay, so over here, right, in this class, we can directly take the user. Okay, and we can pass in this user here, and wherever we require the email, so now we don't need to do this, right? So we can save some API call to the database, right? And now we can just say that user.email, and here also we can do user.email. Okay, and we don't need to add this because this user is already validated. Okay, so here you don't have to add that hacks and exclamation and all that thing. Okay, let's save the changes, and now wherever we are using it, we just don't pass email, we also pass the actual user which we just got from the database here. Okay, so here by doing this we can save one database call, right, when we are creating the token. And let's save the changes, and let's just to prove you that everything is working, so let's again try to test the login endpoint. Let's go back in the login endpoint, and if I click on execute again, I will be able to get the same token, and based on this token I can still do the validation of this. So let me again remove this, click on send, it will fail 401. If I add the token, if I click on send, I'm able to get the list of users, right? So this is what we have implemented today in this video, and now I can say that's a wrap for this video. So you have just implemented JWT authentication in your .NET application, adding a robust layer of security to your project. Okay, so this will ensure that only authenticated user can access the protected resources, making your app much more secure. Okay, so if this video has helped you, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Okay, so in the next video we are going to cover some more important topics related to it. And not just that, right, as I have promised you that in the next video we are going to see how we can improve the Swagger documentation and also add that authorization, like, so that you don't have to go to the Postman to check our resources, right? We can add that bearer thing over here, so that whenever we want to test our APIs, we can add the token here and we can still use our resources. Okay, so that will be covered in the next part. And also, if you want to access this code, so you can head over to github.com/yshashi and you can find this project, Angular blog YT. You can just give it a star if you have liked this project, and you can also clone and enjoy with it, whatever you want to do now. All right, so thanks for watching, guys, and as always, keep coding. See you guys in the next one.